What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Edward, aka Mr. Banana, aka ABC Delicious, aka whatever you want to call me. I'm back again because every great YouTuber has a Q&A list, and today, because I'm not technologically savvy, I'm going to have my man Big Mark in the camera over there to feed me the questions. Mark?
Alright, so I have a list of questions for you, Ed, that a lot of people are dying to know. So the first question that I have for you is, who are you?
Well, unless you guys are brain dead or haven't been paying attention, my name's Edward, and I am a human being. Next question.
The next question I have is, where did you grow up?
That's a great question. It has a great origin story like Bruce Wayne or the Incredible Hulk. Okay, no I don't. Actually, I grew up in Connecticut, and since I've been living in Taiwan for a little bit, you can compare it to a thriving metropolis like a Taidong or a Hualien. Very beautiful, but nothing going on. Next question.
Next question I have is, how long have you been living in Taiwan?
That's a good question. Even though I look really young and kind of like a high school graduate, I've actually been living in Taiwan for about 8 years. Wow, time really does fly by. Next question, please.
The next question I have is, the differences between living in the US and in Taiwan.
That's a great question. It's a really interesting thing. I think everybody's perception of life is very different. I would say for me, and I think every country has their pros and cons, I would say this. From my experience, I felt like growing up in the States, in primarily Connecticut as well as New York, you're a little bit treated differently because there I'm considered more of a minority. So, you know, I'm not gonna like break down and cry and say I went through like various racism or what have you, but it's a little bit different growing up there compared to Taiwan. But on the other hand, it's funny because in Taiwan, even though to, you know, Caucasians and other foreigners, I'm Asian, to a lot of the locals here, I am considered a foreigner as well. So it's kind of like, it's an interesting thing, but on the positive, I do feel like ever since I've been living in Taiwan, I do get to take off that, I don't know what you want to call it, like the armor of racism, because I'm in Taiwan, everyone's Asian, so no one's going to use any type of racial slurs on me, because, you know, everyone's Asian, right? Anyway, thank you for asking. Next question.
This next question I have is pretty interesting. What's dating like in Taiwan and in the US?
I could lie to you guys and say your boy is awesome in both places, but, you know, this is 2018. I like to keep it real. And this is only my experience, because, you know, everybody's experience may differ, right? For me, because I was living in New York for several years before I came to Taiwan, it was a little bit brutal. I don't know if it's the weather or people are colder, but I feel like in New York, people are kind of like, who are you? What can you do for me? What are you driving? Etc., etc. So I went through, I know you're going to find it hard to believe with this, you know, very chiseled face and awesome exterior, that I did go through some various dry spells, but in Taiwan, in Chinese we say 有点难听, kind of bad to say, but in Taiwan I would say it is not that hard to hook up, but you know, I think at this point in my life I'm more about the quality than the quantity. I know, I'm not joking. So I think dating in Taiwan is, if you compare it to America, easier, but that's also a subjective case. But I would say yes, it is a little bit easier, you know, speaking as an ABC or a foreigner. But that's a really good question. I can go more in depth on that in the next video. Next question.
The next question I have is, how do the locals treat you as an ABC?
I have a great theory about this because I'm always complaining to anyone who could hear me, and my friends hate me for it. Basically, this is my theory. When you're in Taiwan and you're a non-Asian minority, for example, Caucasian person, Latin person, black person, etc., when you say any Chinese, Taiwanese people are shocked and amazed. So for example, if you're not Asian, you say ni hao, they go nuts. They're like, ni hao means hello. They go, oh my god, your Chinese is awesome. In Chinese they say, 你的中文很标准 means your Chinese is so good. Where are you from? 你是哪里人? Okay? 你是台南人? Are you from Tainan? 你是高雄人吗? Are you from Kaohsiung? Kaohsiung? But when I start speaking Chinese, and granted again, I'm not fluent, but I speak more on a conversational level, yes, to the dismay of all my family. They will say something like, man, your accent is so weird. 哎呀，你的口音很奇怪。你是哪里人? Where are you from? 你是韩国人吗? Are you Korean? Although I do think I look like a Korean superstar, but that's another story. 你是香港人吗? Are you from Hong Kong? 雷猴吗? Lang Loi? 海蛎楼啊? No, I'm not from Hong Kong. Or I think I've gotten Japanese, or I get everywhere. But, you know, I really do feel like there's this saying, it's better to try and fail than fail to try. So even though, like, people might, you know, look at you funny or say your accent's strange, like, the only way you're gonna improve in any language, I feel like, is if you practice it. That's why when I go out, hang out with friends, I make it a point of emphasis to practice my Chinese, even though for me, you know, in English, obviously, it's like breathing. I don't need to think about it. In Chinese, it's kind of like I'm taking a test or I'm driving a car. So it's a little bit more mechanical, but I don't mind. So I would say that is what happens when Taiwanese people hear me speak Chinese. Great question. Next one, please.
The next question I have is, do you have foreign or Taiwanese friends?
That's another awesome question, Mark. Whoever came up with it is a great man. That would be me, because no one knows who I am. I would say when I first came to Taiwan, I was teaching English. So for a long time, and not to bash on it, all my friends were foreigners, meaning from America, North America, whose native language was English. But then, because, you know, again, nothing wrong with it, I wanted to improve my Chinese, and I also took a master's here at a master's program. I also have kind of developed friendships with Taiwanese people. Now, if you're asking me which one I prefer, I don't, you know. I know that sounds very PC, but I actually like connecting with people. I would say, you know, I'm a gregarious kind of guy. Although I always joke with my friends, I always say like, oh, well, Fit's on high show. High show means shy, but you know, that's kind of like a joke, because everyone says, 你不害羞, you're not shy. So I would say right now I have I don't know if equal, but I have both foreigner friends and Taiwanese friends. Okay, keep the good questions coming. Next one.
The next question I have is, things that are fascinating or annoying to you in Taiwan.
Again, before I get started, overall Taiwan is a beautiful place, beautiful people. I love it. Now these are things that kind of fascinate me or intrigue me, and yes, 有点难听, a little bit bad to hear, do annoy me sometimes. Here are the things that are interesting to me. Walking around. People like to wear lenses, glasses, the frames, but they don't have any lenses in there. It's kind of like a fashion thing. They say 流行. 流行 means stylish. In America, we don't really do that. But here, I don't know why they like to do that for some reason. So that's interesting to me. The amount of girls that like to rock bangs, you know bangs, like the hairstyle. I don't know why. Every girl likes to do it. What are some other things that are interesting to me? No, these are the things that are a little bit annoying to me. Especially compared to New York. The way people walk, I don't know if it's a cultural thing, but basically they have a tendency to kind of get in your way, even though there's a lot of real estate out there, a lot of places to walk. So at first that kind of annoyed me, but then I realized, you know, it's a cultural thing and they're not doing it on purpose, I think. And, another thing, and maybe this is gonna make me sound like first world problems, but the first time I encountered a hole in the ground in the restroom. In America, we don't really have that, and I don't know, that just seems like putting forth an extra challenge, you know? Like when I have to go to the bathroom, I'm not trying to think about like where I'm going and not to fall or God knows what else could happen, okay? Besides that, I'm trying to think what else. I would say, compared to New York, the fashion's a little bit different. I don't want to say more feminine, but they can take more risks here, I would say. And also, of course, because it gets quite humid here, when you compare it to like the Northeast. The fashion's a little bit lighter. It's a little bit more dressed down. Like even their jackets, if you wear that in the East Coast during the winter, you're gonna die, basically. So I think these are like some of the things that kind of fascinate me, annoy me, etc. But again, these are all topics that I can delve further into in subsequent videos. But that's a great question. Next question, please.
The next question. Do people understand your Chinese?
Great question. I think I kind of broached the subject on the previous question, but I'll do it again. Most of the time, I would say they can understand, but maybe sometimes, because I have a tendency to do this in English too, I talk a little bit fast, so I do have to force myself to speak a little bit slower. But even if I do, especially in Chinese, they might not get exactly what I'm saying, or they might say like 什么, which means what, or So I think for the most part it's pretty good, but again, I'm not fluent in Chinese, so I don't mind, and I'm accustomed to having to repeat myself, so that's not a big issue for me. Great question. All right, keep it coming. Next one.
So the next question I have, can people tell that you are an ABC?
I would say when I'm walking around the street, I can blend in quite well. But when I start opening up this, yes, my mouth, guys, I want to keep it clean, okay? My mouth, they can tell right away. Why? Because I talk really loud, okay? I think actually my whole family does. It's our greatest compliment or our greatest weakness, whatever you want to call it. And that's when they can tell right away. And also when you interact with me for a couple minutes, I kind of have, I don't want to say American humor because that would be stereotyping a whole nation, but I do think I have my own type of humor that a lot of Taiwanese people don't have. So I would say, to answer your question, initially no, but after a few minutes, if you spend time with me, yes. Next question, please.
Next question. What are the things you love and hate about Taiwan?
Ooh, this could get me banned from Taiwan. Okay. I think, and by the way, I also have pros and cons for the US, which I can do at another time. But for Taiwan, I would say the pros are the people are very friendly, okay? As far as I know, they're willing to help. I would say overall, it's not dangerous. Like I've never got, not that I'm saying America is like get out or something like extremely dangerous, but I've never walked around here, and this is me, speaking for a male. So, obviously I can't speak for a female, but even my friends who are women have told me like overall walking around, not that I'm walking around the street all the time at 3 a.m., but overall, I never feel like my life is in danger or anything is going on, so that's a good thing. Rent and food is pretty cheap. This is probably gonna make me look bad, but you don't have to tip here. And I would say for me, and this is gonna be sad for you Northeasterners, I don't miss the snow. I think when you're younger, you kind of romanticize and fantasize about snow. And as a kid, it's great. But when you're walking around New York or the East Coast and traipsing through the snow, it gets annoying really fast. So I would say that's good. Cons, not too many. I would just say basically, I'm a sweater. I know that's very attractive, ladies, but I do have a tendency to sweat, so the summer for me here is a little bit not good. So I'm not really a big fan of humidity. And, I guess you could say everyone tells me the salary is kind of low, but you also have to factor in the standard of living, so it kind of, goes hand to hand. Besides that, and as someone who's used to the MTA, the New York train system, which is 24/7, Taipei closes around 12:30 a.m., so that is a little bit disappointing, but besides that, I don't have too much to complain about Taiwan, and overall, I've enjoyed living here for the past several years. Great question. Let's go to the next one. What does the audience want to know?
The next question that people want to know is, what is teaching like in Taiwan?
Horrible. No, I'm just kidding. Let me elaborate on that. Again, I want to preface by saying that everybody's experience is different, okay? But for me, I've taught for several years, At the beginning, for the first few years, it was really great. And by the way, I've taught all ages and skill levels from children to adults. But I think for me, it got to a certain point where like it became 很无聊. 很无聊 means kind of a little bit boring in Chinese. So overall, the positives. The salary is pretty good if you compare it to other industries, especially at the beginning. You know, I don't have to think because I'm a native English speaker. And I do love kids, you know. And then, you know, they're good, you know, so that's a good thing. You know, I like adults too because with adults you can kind of engage with them on a deeper level. You can kind of learn about Taiwanese culture. It's a good networking tool, that kind of thing. So for me, I would say it was a very fruitful experience and I'm glad I went through it. But I think at the end of the day, for me, I'm kind of done with it. Or we can say 退休. 退休 means retired. So that's my experience, I would say, about teaching in Taiwan. And if you have questions about how to teach in Taiwan or what to do to get a teaching job in Taiwan, again, comment down below and I can answer that in other videos, okay? Great question. What's the next one?
The next question that we have is, what is your favorite sport and why?
This is another question that brings me pain and sorrow to this day. Being that I was born in Brooklyn and have to be a loyal New Yorker, even though I did go through that bandwagon stage, because I know like a lot of my high school classmates are going to chime in that I was a Bulls fan, I have been a supporter of the Knicks because, you know, the blood's in me. I was born there. But as you can tell, unless you've been sleeping under a rock, the Knicks have been horrible for at least, what, 20 years maybe? And the Nets aren't as good. So could you imagine, I have two teams to choose from, but they're both at the bottom. But, you know, what can I do? Every year, it's kind of like being in an abusive relationship. We say it's going to get better, it's going to get better, we go through counseling, we, you know, talk to our friends. So yeah, I'm a Knicks fan. And to answer your question, I'm a, you know, NBA head. Okay, I'm in fantasy leagues. I'm aware of other sports, kind of, on the periphery, like the NFL, NBL, but not really, to be quite honest. I'm more passionate about the NBA. I used to play basketball a lot, but I'm kind of like off that in case I suffer like, you know, my career-ending torn ACL or break my kneecap or something like that. But yeah, we can talk about that in subsequent videos where I, you know, where I cry and talk about the Knicks. Thank you for touching a sore spot. Next question.
Next question. How do you find jobs in Taiwan?
Okay, well, if you go back to my previous question, my main area of expertise is teaching, which I've already told you about. Okay, I'll quickly go through it. Teaching is really easy. It's fun at times. It doesn't require any, you know, brain power because I'm a native English speaker. Other jobs in Taiwan, because maybe I haven't mentioned it before. Even though I'm trying to learn, I'm basically illiterate in Chinese, you know, and those of you who aren't used to those fancy college words, illiterate means cannot read or write. So my path is a little bit different from, let's say, a normal Taiwanese person. I have to find jobs in Taiwan which don't require as much Chinese and rely more on English, which do exist out there, but I'd say those are more by referral or you really have to find them. And to answer your question, what do I use? Obviously there's LinkedIn, or for me, I feel like even though it's kind of a weird contradiction, I do use 104. What is 104? 104 is the job resource site that Taiwanese locals use to find jobs. Now the thing is, it's all in Chinese. But Edward, you just said you don't speak or read Chinese. Aha, you've been paying attention. I didn't put you to sleep. Yes. Well, for that, I had my Taiwanese friends hook up my account and my profile. And then what I do is my little hackaway is where I just basically type in on their little search engine, English jobs, product marketing jobs, copywriter jobs, technical marketing jobs, etc. And then, you know, if the job interests me or I think or I could be good at it, I just submit my CV to it. So that's basically my experiences finding jobs in Taiwan. Would knowing Chinese help me get a job easier? Yes. I always had this theory, like, if my Chinese was about 60 or 70% of my English, I'm not saying about, writing the Bible in Chinese or anything like that, just being able to use my smartphone, type on the computer, type emails, that I would have ruled Taiwan by now. No, I'm just kidding. It would have been easier, but I would say for me, in my experiences, jobs do exist out there, but they do require a little bit more effort and finesse. So that's a great question. Again, I can go deeper into any of these questions for future videos. If you guys are interested, comment below. Good job, Mark. Let's keep it going.
All right. The next question I have is, what's your personality like?
I'm very shy and introvert. No, I'm just kidding. In Chinese we say, "非常害羞." I always say that with my Taiwanese friends as a joke, and then they always say like, "You are not shy." Okay, actually, especially my friends who are shy. No, I would say I have a pretty kinetic personality. I'm very ebullient. I'm generally, I would say, like a glass is half full type of guy. I like to, obviously I'm a human being, so I do have my downtime or my periods where I feel a little bit sad. But overall, no, I look at life pretty positively, and I try to. I know this is gonna sound like, what's like 吹牛? 吹牛means bragging. Okay, it's gonna sound like I'm bragging, but I do try to like help my friends if I have the time and opportunity. As long as it doesn't cost me money, because girls, sorry, I don't have a lot of money, okay? But I have time, so as long as I can help other people, I know I'm doing a lot of talking, but I would say I'm a good listener. Yeah, I would say my personality is like that. Like, I like to travel, I like to interact with other people. If I'm gonna really nerd it up, I like manga, I like watching movies, karaoke, exercising, etc., etc. And again, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I can talk about this more on another video if you're interested. Again, comment down below. Mark, keep it coming. Any more?
All right. The last question that we have is, what's your goal with this YouTube channel?
My goal is to unseat Rice Gum and to become the #1 Asian YouTuber. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, I don't want anything. I don't want any diss tracks from Rice Gum. No. No, I think, you know what? I like to talk a lot. I don't know if you could tell from this video. I like to gab, and my friends can only take so much, as well as my family. And I feel like this would be a nice outlet for me. And obviously, if I get 1 million subscribers, 1 million hits, that's great. But at the end of the day, I'm doing this, just more for me, and for me to express my, thoughts on certain things. And, if it could get me paid a little bit, great. But if it doesn't, which I assume it won't, unless you guys subscribe right now and invite your friends, I'm okay with that. Do you know what I mean? I guess you could call this my passion project. If I'm, what's his name? Jordan Peele. This is my get out, okay? Well, that's about it. Thank you so much, Mark. You did good. Anything else?
I think that's all we have.
All right. Well, that's it for now, YouTube. Until next time. Out.